Hey, what's up guys? Mr. Roark again, and so we have finally reached the end of our surface area unit, and we are now on probably like the biggest and the baddest one of all of them. Surface area of trapezoids, okay? Now let me say right up front, don't be afraid of it, and most importantly, don't be afraid of decimals. It's just half of a number, it's just a part of a number. Just like if I gave you 50 cents, it's 2 quarters. You're not afraid of them, you'd rather have the dollar, but if I gave you 4 quarters, you're not afraid of the 4 25-cent pieces, okay? That's all decimals are. They're just smaller versions of a whole number, okay? So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and draw a trapezoid, and I'm going to show you guys how to solve it. And if you guys have any questions, like I said, you can always find me in room 12, or if for some reason I'm absent, or if for some reason you're absent, you can always scan the QR code that's going to be at the bottom of this page, for this one for trapezoids, and get extra help if you need it, okay? So here we go, trapezoids. I'm going to go ahead and draw one on the board. Make my dotted little line there, okay? I'm going to call this 9. We're going to stick with inches. I'm going to call this one up here. We're going to call this 10 inches. And we're going to call this bottom one down here 13 inches, okay? Now, here's my formula for trapezoids, okay? Some people kind of freak out. You guys aren't going to, though, because you're brave, okay? My formula for the area of a trapezoid is A equals 1/2 times the sum of, we're going to add up base 1, which is down here, plus base 2, which is going to be this one up here, because basically if I flip that shape over, it would still be able to rest on one of the bottoms, okay? Times the height, okay? So the height is going to be this 9, which we'll get to in just a minute, okay? All you really need to do on this one, guys, is plug in the numbers, okay? And I will show you this because some students like to divide this number by 2 instead of doing times 1/2, or asking themselves, what is half of that number, okay? So let's go ahead and look at base 1, B1 right here. I'm going to go ahead and plug this into the formula. When you look at it on your star sheet, it's going to look like this, 1/2 B1 plus B2 H, okay? We're going to plug those numbers in right now. Base 1, we know, is going to be 13 inches, okay? So, 13 plus base 2, which is going to be 10 inches. Now, if you guys think back to 5th grade, something you guys learned then was called PEMDAS. That P stands for parentheses. So we're going to solve anything in these parentheses first, okay? So in this case, 13 plus 10, we know, becomes actually 23, okay? So, 23 we got from adding 13 plus 10. Now, the height of this shape is going to be 9 inches tall, okay? In this case, we're going to put the 9, which is going to be out here. If I draw an arrow straight down, it's going to be right there by my height, okay? Now, if I multiply 23 times 9, it's going to give me an answer of 207, okay? Now, like I said before, we still have to bring down this 1/2 part and ask ourselves, what is 1/2 of 207, okay? Some students like to divide it by 2, and if you're that student, that's completely fine. They both work, okay? If I take 207 and I ask myself, what is half of 207? Or if I put in my calculator, 1/2, or 0.5 times 207, or if I solve it out, I'm going to find that 207, half of that is 103.5, okay? So, I can do it that way. Or if I want, I can also divide it out, which, let me put a little cut in my line here. I will do half of, or 2, divided by 207, okay? 2 goes into 2 once. If I subtract that out, that becomes 0, and that's 0. I can't divide 2 into 0, so then I bring down my 7. 2 goes into 7 3 times, which gives me 6. 7 minus 6 is 1, okay? And then at that point, I'm adding my decimal, if you guys will remember. Okay, bringing down this. All right, 2 goes into 10 5 times. And that gives me my answer, okay? If I'm talking in inches, like I have been here, and I'm using the correct units, I've got 103.5 inches squared. Don't forget that little 2. And again, what that means is that if I had a bunch of little tiny squares inside this trapezoid that were 1 inch by 1 inch, I would need 103 and half of 1.5 to fill this area entirely, okay? Like I said, trapezoids can be a doozy, guys, and so take your time with it. Make sure you guys, like I said, if you're a student who likes to ask yourself what is half of that answer, or multiplying it by 0.5, you can do that. Or if you're a student who would rather divide it by 2, cutting it in half, that works also, all right? Thanks, guys. We'll see you next unit.